So we're standing there, and there's no telling, there are hundreds of people in this taco shop. And so we're in line, and there's about 40 people, standing in line. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I see this guy start weaving his way, like swimming upstream, going through the deal. I'm like, what is this guy doing? And I didn't pay any attention. And all of a sudden, he was right here. He said, "Hey, you're Ancil Lea."
Welcome
And,
to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with two special guests that I've had on before. I'm excited to get the two of you in the room together. And what I talked about is because your relationship with each other. And I think it's pretty freaking cool. So I'm going to start off with Ancil. Ancil Lea is author, Common Grounds. You've got several versions. Did the last one come out yet? Because I know you were writing another book.
Common Grounds 3 is on its way. It should be
Okay.
out here in February.
Perfect. Of 2025. Like
That's right.
next month?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's like super soon.
Yeah.
I love
Yep.
that.
I need to talk
Uh,
to RC about that, by the
okay,
way.
that's great. Yeah, because of the work it does for you. Ansel is a longtime health tech guy, Papaw, and whatever else that was, author, and just cool on social media and great at doing LinkedIn lives with your support team. So I need to learn from you on that, sir. So welcome, and I look forward to
Thank
hearing
you.
from you. Ryan, I'm going to glance over Ryan Clark at his LinkedIn header because that's how I'm going to introduce Ryan. Audience
Yeah.
monetization specialist for B2B owners looking to build an ambitious community of dream clients who will refer you like crazy and buy whatever you put out. Embody charisma and become your market's messiah. Wow.
And
Wow. And I love how that's evolved from what it used to be. So welcome both of you. I'm excited for the chat. And Ansel, I know you have a quote to kick us off with today.
Yeah. So, when I first met, I call him RC. Okay. You can call him Ryan. I'm not doing that. But RC, when I first, sat down with RC and we kind of started working together, he gave me this thing that I really profoundly changed what I do especially on LinkedIn. And I had this thing is burned in my mind, and I tell people this. He said, quote, Ansel, you need to be more polarizing. I was like, what? Polarizing? I need to be more polar. Yeah, he's like, you're riding too much middle of the road fluff and whatnot. And really really to get beyond that, I think what he meant was, and he can tell, he, he's sitting right here, he can tell us that, I really think it allowed me to go and just be me, be authentic and be, just, with warts and all, and, but one of the things he told me, and it made a lot of sense to me, is that, you like a magnet, you will, if you are polarizing, not only will you repel, but you'll attract the audience that you want
Mhm.
and that you're trying to develop. And, man, those have been the really profound words, meaningful words. And he's told me a bunch of words throughout our last 3 years of working together. Um, but that's how we kick this thing off.
Mhm.
And it really has changed my writing and who I am on LinkedIn for sure.
What comes to mind for me, and this is what I commented on just with you, is it appears that it gave you freedom, right? To be
Mm.
you. And I look forward to your posts. Your posts are real, authentic, you, and not necessarily to Ryan's point or how he did it, middle of the road to where I can't see your stuff anywhere else It's only going to come from you, which is cool. And it includes all the titles that you have and everything else because it is that whole thing of who you are. Ryan,
Thank
what's
you,
the rest of
Michelle.
the story?
Mhm. Yeah, well, I mean, I think, yeah, Ansel was writing like 95% of people on LinkedIn. Um, right. And but only like with the writing side. So Ansel's always had the spirit. He's always had, the most essential thing that you need for success in business with people, and that's like the genuine wanting to reach out, genuine wanting to connect with people,
Mhm.
wanting to help others, not just posting on LinkedIn to make the sale and grow your business, but actually wanted to make a connection. So he always had the connection, but then the words weren't reflecting that connection. I think a lot of people, when they start writing stuff on the internet for business, because you write on Facebook and you write about your feelings and about your family, and I did this today and that today, and that's like, great stuff. And then for some reason, when people start writing from their business, they think they have to write all about business. And then they start seeing, well, okay, nowadays let me ask ChatGPT, what are like the main problems of my target market? And okay, I'll start writing about that. And oh, who's the best LinkedIner? Okay, that person, they write with this kind of format, so I'll write like that. And then there's a lot of content that just sounds like not really anybody, just sounds like
Mhm.
a drone kind of clone. And so then, yeah, with Ansel, like he's got a million stories, and he starts telling me these stories as we're working together and talking. And it's like, man, you just gotta start telling those stories in your content more. And that automatically makes you polarizing. It automatically shares, because polarizing to me, it's not like, hey, go out and be a jerk and go start like finding every little thing you can fight with and saying the opposite. It's more of just having an opinion, and it's about just sharing your perspective on things that are happening in the world, in your life, in the industry. That's what makes you polarizing. So that's really all that happened when I said that, is he started, I think, just telling more stories, and then still linking that to business and the mission.
Mhm.
And he's had a lot of success with that.
Yeah. What have you noticed, Ansel, as a result of doing that? I know Ryan's like you've had a lot of
Oh,
success, but what have you noticed as far as what's different?
I will say that what's different, yeah, I know when I think this is when Ryan, oh, I can't believe I said it. RC.
I've influenced you. I've
That's
influenced
right.
you.
That, you know, right after I started working with RC, I wrote this post um, that got 8 million views on LinkedIn.
Wow.
And, it had, I took a lot of what I'd learned from RC and applied it. And applied it to this, and a lot of it, it was a less is more kind of thing. It was a story, I didn't make it up. It just came from the heart. It's one of those that just wrote itself. It's kind of like a good song. You hear people say, I just wrote the song. The song wrote itself.
Hmm.
And that's what this post did. I just started writing and it wrote itself. And I got 8 million views on the thing. And the thing went around the world. I probably got 100,000 comments. I don't know. Maybe it was maybe no. No. So excuse me. 100,000 likes and loves and whatnot. But it got like 30,000 comments, and um, and I just that just really again it's kind of like lightning. It just kind of that it was like lightning striking. But I really, of course, and I've written a couple of others that have gotten hundreds of thousands of views. But mainly I write in the format just because there's a rhythm to this.
Hmm.
There's a rhythm to writing, especially on LinkedIn, and I think really Ryan, I can't believe I called him that again. But RC, um, um, it really helped guide me to do that. I mean, it's just a lot of good coaching, and because I see so many just push out information, push out, I don't know. It's hard for me to sit here and brag on myself. And people get on to me for not writing more about my experience, and I'm trying to be better about that and weave that into, more of a storytelling type post that I do. But really, RC has been pivotal to my success here, I think.
Ryan, I remember something that you said during one of our previous conversations, and it was about it's not about what you just talked about, Ansel, like getting, that post that goes viral. It's not about that. I think that for you was the realization that when you connect to what means something to people because it means something to you, that literally it has wings that can take off.
Yep.
That's not the norm or the intention. But I think, Ryan, what I remember you saying essentially is it's not about having a million followers or whatever. It's about having the people that you're wanting to that are your people that you're wanting to connect to. And what does that core audience look like that you're speaking to them? And that stood out to me. I don't know that I do such a great job at that. I think my free expression or my version of that is this podcast, right? That we literally have a conversation, nothing about it scripted, so that people can get whatever nuggets they have. But that's one of the things that stood out that you talked to me about, and it's freaking in the back of my head all the time, similar to, polarizing thing. That's another one that I wrote down. It's not, it's just about having an opinion, about stating your opinion that's out there and not being some jerk that you're just trying to stir stuff up. Those were my words and not yours.
Yeah. 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 It's like, you know, most of the people that I work with, like coaches and consultants and small business people, we really only need two or three solid clients paying us consistently, and that's more than enough money to take care of everything we need. Like a lot of times that's the case. So it's like if you're worried about, if you're kind of posting for money or posting for like fame and lots of likes and views, that is like one thing. I love that. I'm trying to make my stuff go as much as possible,
Mm-hmm.
but the stuff that really, Ansel's like a unicorn, but the thing is, like, he's, gone viral a few times. But yeah, those stories that are doing that, they are personal stories about things that are interesting. And but the reason, I think one of the big reasons why they went so big is because he's had this support base that he's built up over a long period of time being on LinkedIn. Like he has people that champions his posts, that whenever he posts, they come out and they support him. So he's, so that when he does have something that really does come out and that is different and that really captures the attention of lots and hearts of lots of people, that base comes in, supports, and then it gets pushed out to everyone. But typically, that can't happen unless you have a small group of people that you're connected to and you're giving lots of love to, and they're giving
Mm-hmm.
it back to you. It always kind of starts with your core. And that's when, linked to one of Ansel's core philosophies, starting small. That's really how it has to be. There's this kind of lie, this perception, a lot of new people in the space that are trying, that are wanting to be coaches and consultants. Maybe they've been in corporate for so many years and then they come and want to do their own thing and realize, okay, I got to start marketing and like, what do I do? There's a lot of coach training programs out there. And there's this idea, they say, oh, well, that person, they 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 have millions of followers and they never have to like do any marketing. They're not niched, they're not like targeting anybody. I don't have to do that either, right? When it's either like very, very rare cases that happens, or there's I don't know, something else going on.
Well, it's yeah, it's just I think it's to your point, you referred to Ansel as a unicorn, right? But Ansel, because Ansel, you're just so freaking genuine. And when people show up that way with the experience you had and everything else, because you're like, it's just me. Well, it's you and the stuff that you say. It's like I remember I was listening to the previous podcast I had you on about your journey, and it's like, I showed up and I didn't really know what was going on, so I just shut up and didn't say anything. Well, actually, you were listening, so which is different. But you say it and deliver it in such a way that people are like, really? Is it that easy? But Ryan, what you're talking about now is that, yeah, you've got fluke things that literally people may be an overnight success and we can't explain it. But the rest of us mere mortals, there is another way to do that. And it's like, how do you get in there genuinely and I think it's legitimately connect with people. And it's not about the mass numbers, because I can invite 100 people over to my house, my tiny little house. I'm not going to be able to talk to all 100 people. I might be able to talk to a couple. So if that's the case, why invite 100 people? Invite the few people that you're actually going to talk to. So, and I think that's the different approach to where we can have real connections. And then those people will talk to other people. It's like I had a client the other day. She referred me to somebody else. She's currently in the Philippines and connected me via text. Hey, so and so needs a coach, and I don't pay her for that. I didn't ask her for that. But there was something about the experience that we had, that she had, that she's out there looking for me. And it's similar, Ansel, to your base that you have, that they're looking to support you in what's going on, but they're doing that because they have a real connection with you. And it's the same thing with you, Ryan. When you post stuff, I see and I'm going to look and watch it. It's not just because you're in my feed, but you're in my feed and you're doing different stuff. You're swimming upstream like the salmon do.
Yeah, I wish I could do a little less of that sometimes, but yeah, definitely. You got to do it. You got to get to where you need to go.
Well, there's so much noise on LinkedIn now, and it, what, how did, because I didn't know RC before, I jumped on here, and how I discovered him was scrolling. Hate to say that. I'm scrolling through my LinkedIn, and here's this guy, and I just landed. Again, it's you know, um, I'm so thankful that I did. I've landed on this guy who's talking about something, and so I thought, well, listen a little more to his video, and he's sitting there, and I'm going, that dude is singing my song. I'm like, holy cow, I want to talk to this guy. And I reached out to him. And many times, just like folks reach out to me when they read something I've written, or, look, see something that I've written and then go and look at my profile,
Mhm.
they'll go, oh, I got to talk to him. And and of course, I have a book an appointment, button on my profile, or it follows around my post too. But it, I get a lot of conversations, short coffee conversations, and that's what I had, with RC. Um, and we, just based on what he was saying, it he just was. I can't remember what that. I have no idea what that was. But at the time, it was really important to me and what he was saying. And again, I think that, the magic is, being able to sing, you've got to sing your song, but it happens to be my song that you're singing. And I'm going to go, I'm going to like, hey, I want to talk to this guy. And that's kind of how it all started for me.
What do you remember, Ryan? Anything about the first reach out? Because I don't know how long, when was that? When did you two connect?
Like 3 years ago. It was
Three
right
Okay.
when
years.
I moved here to Rio. Yeah.
So it was right after you moved. So you and I met right before you moved, because you were moving. You were going to be moving when you and I first connected.
Yeah. 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 Right when I moved. And yeah, I mean, I'm going more full in on video here. Yeah, I shot 12 videos yesterday. My studio room over here, I got a green screen a couple months back, and now I'm like, I'm gonna start putting out a bunch of shorts style videos because the one thing that Ansel said is he saw me in a video, and I think it's just such a good way to make that connection without
Mhm.
needing to. It's a good way to have that like polarization, say, or uniqueness, because writing is really hard. Like creative
Mhm.
writing is really hard, and being charismatic on video is very hard too.
Mhm.
But it's easier to make a personal connection and be differentiated. It's easier to build trust on video than it
Mhm.
is through writing, I think. Just being able to see somebody, hear them, get their vibe. So, I think that's really one of my biggest strengths. So I'm really doubling down on video
Yeah.
and recommend that really to anyone.
So how do you, because what you hit on too, what I find for myself, like if I'm just recording a video and I don't have the human on the other side of it, like with us, I'm a totally different person. It's awkward and I'm uncomfortable and it's like because I'm not talking to anyone. I'm talking to this camera and I'm in my head. I'm not like down here because right now I'm here. I'm not in my head. I'm like this stuff's going to play out however it plays out. It's a conversation. What do you do? What tips and tricks do you have to where it can become like I can show up more authentically as me versus this very uncomfortable, even though I'm not reading from a script.
Well, I mean, it probably depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
One can thing. Like, one is definitely practice, but I think the other, it's probably has to do with like the things that maybe what you're talking about. Like, if you are, um, I mean,
Sorry, didn't make it
yeah,
tough here. How
yeah.
do
I
you
mean,
solve for
I
world
don't
peace,
actually
Ryan? How do
know.
you solve for
I don't
world peace?
actually, because yeah, I don't actually, know. I think it definitely does take practice. Maybe one thing is, try to be try to be like 1.5 times as animated as you normally would be, like having a
Okay.
conversation with someone. So,
Okay.
because it's like on in the back in the day when they were doing theater, or that people still do theater,
Yeah.
but there's that disconnect between the crowd and someone on stage. So the reason why actors are very like over animated is because they're really like they really need to convey that emotion so everyone can really see exactly what they're feeling. So kind of
Yeah.
can't it's kind of the same kind of thing. There's a disconnect. And if you just kind of speak normally, you're going to go flat. But if you just consciously up your energy and your
Yeah.
animation, then that subconsciously tricks your mind too into being like, okay, I just got to be animated. I'm going to be excited. And so it's really just imagination,
Yeah.
pretending talking to someone, having that mindset helps. And then maybe if you're telling more stories, that could help to bring out just that natural emotion because you're talking about
Yeah.
stuff that you really interested in.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah, and I would agree that, sometimes I'm a little flat when I'm on, I'm trying to do just a single video where I'm just
Hmm.
talking. And I look at it and I go, oh, that's so terrible. And I'm like, okay, um, I'm going to make myself become uncomfortably animated. It's just what Ryan was saying. At least, maybe, maybe not 1.5 acts, but maybe 2 acts. That I have to, get excited about something, and when I do that, it's uncomfortable, and I go back and look at it and go, well, that's about right. It's amazing how that works, and he's just spot on that. It's just you just have to be more animated, kind of take up your voice level a notch, and um, otherwise it's just going to be Ansel sitting here talking very low. Nobody's going to see me. Um, I will tell you a story that in regards to this. When I was in high school, we had a closed circuit. We had about, how many students? There were 700 in my class, maybe about 2,000 students, I guess, and I was the president of the student body,
Wow.
and so they they wanted to. I was sitting there one day, and they wanted us to read the announcements every morning on
Okay.
closed circuit TV. So the drama club was supposed to do this, and I just happened to. I was there, and I'd read the announcements a couple times, and the drama. Something happened with the drama teacher, and she just got upset about something and said, "We're not participating."
Oh, I'm going
So,
to take my toys and go home.
right, so the mass comm. Oh shoot, I can't remember his name, but he's such a great guy. He looked at me, he said, "Well, you're it." And so I read the morning announcements every day. I'd like, it's still in me. It's like the morning announcements will be on in 45 seconds, or whatever. And so I would read the announcements to the whole student body. So there is something to be said for practice, and doing it over and over. Again, I think the more you do it, the better you get. Um, but I do also think in tandem to that is the energy level. You have to raise your energy level to almost where you're uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Um, to I do at least to where I think it's going to be engaging.
Yeah. No, it's a good call out because I have definitely done recordings as I've had to promote workshops or that sort of thing. And I'll record myself and I'm like, that's just dismal. I mean, and it is. It's trying to get my brain in a different thing, be more energized because it will fall flat to your point. And I never thought about the intentionality around that. But it was for me in a feedback loop of doing it. So I'm curious about the two of you. Ansel, other than, and it could be what you've already talked about already, what is something by meeting Ryan that is different in your life or different than prior to meeting him? There's laughter. There's laughter.
Yeah, yeah. So here I'm going to tell you another story. So this will illustrate what's different about
Okay.
RC. So we're launching Common Grounds 2. And so we've laid out a whole strategy on how to launch this book. And we're going through that, and we've got specials and whatnot. And I come up with this idea. And I'm always coming up with crazy ideas. And so I'm sitting there on our call, and I said, and RC, I don't know if you remember this. I'm sure you do.
He's grinning a little
Yeah,
bit, so I'm
yeah.
assuming
Oh, I
it's
do.
I
I think
said,
I know where it's going.
I said, hey, I had this great idea. I said, why don't we just give the book away? And RC was like, we planned this whole, role. Detail on how we're going to launch this book. And his face started getting red, and so we finally got around to RC, and RC says, "No, this is not the plan at all. We've got stick to the plan, and and so he's not afraid to voice his basically get in your face and tell you're wrong." And we need to stick to, but what, we did that, and it turned out to be, brilliant. And I'm glad we did that. But I just had this idea, that I'd watched some YouTube video, and, I thought, hey, we'll just give this away. And, right. And RC was like, that's not what we've been planning. This is not what we've been working on. And he was quite passionate. I appreciate that. I appreciate that he was passionate about you know us being successful with this, and that
yeah,
he took it personally. And he didn't want me to mess this thing up. I said that nicely. At the end here, or right at wherever we were in the process. but you can, I appreciate that. His passion for your success is meant a lot. It has meant a lot to me, over the years. And I really think that's why we continue to work together.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I remember it was the in-person and the virtual launch that you had from the coffee shop.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and so I attended that. And Ryan, you were there too. On that live that was done. So I do appreciate that. It was so funny. But just the interesting part is you two are so different, but yet similar in the how authentic you both are is to true to who you are. But two people that I never would have gone, oh yeah, they fit. Um, Ryan, how about you? What's different for you as a result of meeting Ansel?
I think I've learned a lot about patience and grace. Um, well,
What do you mean
Oh.
by that?
I mean, I don't know, it's like, I don't have any other clients like Ansel. It's more of, I think it's the first time I've really had a relationship with a client, or is more than just being a client, where we've become friends and we just
Yeah.
talk about business. And yeah, we do projects, sometimes there's something big, then it's a project. Yeah, we'll put together a plan and and do the thing, but it's just kind of a lot of in between communicating. And with his son A4 was, we were all three of us were working together for a while, and that was
Hmm.
also too. So it's like, it's really just, that's the best thing about business, is when you get to work with people you really care about, you enjoy
Hmm.
being around. It's like, I forget that sometimes. Just, maybe just taking on a client that was like, well, it's going to be like a good project, but then you don't really like them, and it's fine, but then you kind of maybe have this feeling that things aren't going to be that great, and maybe some
Hmm.
problems might come up down the road, but at the time it's a job you want to take, maybe you need the money. And then it's like, before you know it, you're 6 months down the road when it was only supposed to take 3 months, and you really don't even really enjoy talking to them, but you got to fulfill your
Hmm.
obligation. So that's
Yes.
why it's just so important to be patient, but not like with the client in this case, like be patient, um to like really just work with people you really enjoy. And to do that, you do have to have good marketing. You do have to have a strong message and know what you stand for, and know the kind of people that you do want to work with, and know exactly, how you can help them and what your program is gonna do for them. And like, the better you can communicate yourself, the better. Because a lot of people, I think, are just doing marketing and putting themselves out there, but they don't even really know what they're about exactly. They don't
Hmm.
exactly know how to describe what transformation they're going to give clients, or even they don't care exactly who they're even going after in the first place. Just like, hey, whoever comes, and
Hmm.
that's great, but it doesn't give you control over your marketing and your sales. So
Yeah.
anyway, shameless self plug. That's what I do.
No,
If any of you
I
have any
no,
more of
and
that,
it's
but
I appreciate that, and I think it's super important because one of the things you called out that I've heard from so many different people, because my daughter does marketing too. It'd be fun to get the two of you in a room together. Is this whole idea of who's your avatar, who's your person, who's the and that is not something that happens in 5 minutes for most of us. Is that you don't have clarity on that because it's like, oh my gosh, my purpose in life is to help, and it's everyone. Well, it can't be everyone because if it's everyone, it's no one, right? Because not everyone is going to be responding to who you are and what you do and the message that you're sending, or it becomes milk toast and it doesn't connect with anyone because you're trying to throw this broad net and connect and get all kinds of fish, right?
yeah.
Um, it's I do appreciate though the fact that because you've worked with Ansel, you have more patience and grace for those other people that you really don't want to be in the room with.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time with both of you, and in these last few minutes, it's what's one thing that you would love people to walk away with from our conversation? Ansel, can we start with you, sir?
Oh, wow, thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We can go to Ryan if you want. Come back
Hey,
to
Yeah,
you.
Ann.
let's let
Oh,
RC go
give me
first.
my minute. Give me my minute to think.
Everyone needs a minute to think.
Yeah. No, RC, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Um, okay, well, sure. You know, I think this is the thing. This thing we're doing here. This is the thing we should be trying to do more of, that people should be on the lookout to do more of. It's the biggest thing that I've learned about business is that, I was trying to go out, I was trying to push and go out and grab everything and talk to everyone. And I thought that I had to save the world and that I had to help everybody. And then I'm just realizing more and more as I get older and have more experience in my business that it's really just about finding a few people, a small group of people, and helping them and serving them the best that you can. Because if because that doing that is great and will be enough. But
Mm-hmm.
even if you do want to go save the world, you're not going to be able to do it unless you start small
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
just start there. I joined this place. It's like an innovation center slash co-working space.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been alone in my consulting coaching business for years. And now I'm like going out and like talking to people and networking. And it's so nice to like talk to other business people and have a space where I can work with them. And they're right there. And I'm like, wow, in this one space here, there's so many people I have opportunity with to talk about business and all that. I don't need the internet, I don't need all that stuff. And it's a great tool, but I think we should take away is start small,
Mm-hmm.
look around your surroundings, build strong relationships with the people that are right around you, and you
Yeah.
won't go wrong.
Yeah. Thank you. Ansel.
Yeah, good stuff, RC. Um, I I'll remind myself, you know, that I, kind of go back to, who I am, and that's, I got coffee all over the place here, and that's one of the reasons, the common theme through the books um is being able to uh sit down one on one and have a cup of coffee with somebody and talk through life and business. And that's what I like. That's what I enjoy doing. And I love the coffee chats here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to really get to sit down with someone is really really a great thing. And I just got to remember to do that more.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Ryan, did I say that? RC said that that's being able to go and have conversations and share ideas and get to know somebody and is a really wonderful thing. And I'm just doing more of that. And the more I do that, the more energy it brings me. The more
Mm-hmm.
energy it brings me, it you know it turns into blessings in business,
Mm-hmm.
for me. And so yeah, I think it's that we that it's just there's nothing second to being face to face,
Mm-hmm.
and it just really really matters.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate that because the stuff coming up for me is around, based on what you two talked about. It is taking those moments, and I think part of it for me is it's like getting you two together in the room. I had to because there's a fear sometimes that people will say no, right? And when we put ourselves out there to where, hey, do you want to meet for whatever? Do you want to have a chat? And it can be in person or virtual the way we are now. But it's the seeing someone, seeing the reaction, their thoughts, their whatever may be going on. And I encourage people that if you have an inkling of, oh, it'd be kind of cool to do XYZ, don't stop yourself by going, well, I don't want to bother them, or I don't know that I have the time, or I don't know. We make the time for those things that are important to us. So just know that, like anything else, if you just put it out there, you figure out what it is. I don't care what's happening in the swirl around you, create that space to where you can reconnect or connect with people. Because to your point, that's the thing that gives us energy and moves us forward. So just think about it, say yes, and it can be 15 minutes, in the room with somebody, and that's all it takes. And you don't know how much they may need to be in the room with you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you mentioned something. Go ahead, RC.
I had a quick idea. All three of us have podcasts, and I'm wondering, well, maybe, from Ansel, maybe we've talked about it, but if you've got any, guests that you've had on the show, Michelle, I'm starting up a new season of my own show here, and I'd love if you could maybe connect me to a few people that you think could be good for my show to kind of talk, on the marketing, or not even just marketing, but like business side, leadership. Like that would be really awesome, because that's what I see from all the big podcasts like on YouTube. Like there's all these guys, they're kind of friends and they're kind of show swapping, and the
Yeah.
guests around to different ones. I think we have an opportunity to do kind of the same, and like keep our shows fresh and bring in new people, something like
Well,
that.
and to your point, the conversation that a guest that I they and I would have, is different than a conversation you would have with them, or different than a conversation that Ansel would have with them. And so I do love that. I love that. Ansel.
Yeah, no, I agree. And hey, that's a great thought. I'm all for it. And matter of fact, I've just spent a lot this morning lining up, new new interviewees,
Mhm.
new interviews on for our LinkedIn Lives, which have just been it. That I can't tell you how. Matter of fact, let me go back and say that's another thing RC got me doing. He was the one that kicked off and helped me get our LinkedIn Live set up and going. And that's been one of the biggest blessings to building relationships, but
Mhm.
also to building and for us to really tell our story and
Mhm.
and really you share with folks who you are. And I will tell you that, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but if I've shared this story before, stop me, okay? But we so my wife is taking a group. She's a high school counselor, and she also was the cheer sponsor. So she wanted to take a group up to Kansas City, which we have to go through Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, Rogers area to where that's any rate. So she said, "Hey, will you take the day off and go with me?" And I said, "Sure." So I just put on a jacket. I didn't shave. I'm just, yeah, I wasn't going to see anybody,
Yeah.
And so we're going up there, and so she said, "Hey, we're going to stop at this taco shop, and everybody's going to eat lunch." And I said, "Great." This happens to be in Rogers, Arkansas, Torchy's Tacos. So we're standing there, and there's no telling, there are hundreds of people in this taco shop. And so we're in line, and there's about 40 people, standing in line. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I see this guy start weaving his way, like swimming upstream, going through the deal. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? And I didn't pay any attention. And all of a sudden he was right here. He said, "Hey, you're Ancil Lee. And I watch you on your LinkedIn Lives." I'm like, get out of town. I'm like, no. And at any rate, we had a great conversation. This guy turns out to be a higher up with the National Cash Register, NCR.
Uh-huh.
NCR and in Walmart was his, that's where Walmart is, was
Yeah.
his clients. And I'd never met him. He said, "Hey, can we get a picture made together?" And I'm like, "Sure, we'll get a picture made together." And we just shared a moment. It was great. And but
Yeah.
it but but that's happened multiple. I've been at software shows and whatnot, and it you just don't realize the power of doing this and getting your message out. And now I realize I mean, since you guys do it, you do, but it's incredible. And folks, I could tell more stories like that, but it's just because your analytics look a little bit low doesn't mean you're not hitting the right eyeballs.
Mhm.
And so I think this is powerful, and it has been powerful for us in the development of our brand and our business.
I love that. Thank you. Um, you two are cool to be in the room with, and I want to plant a seed that to do this again. So that's I consider that the seed is officially planted. So hopefully it will grow and germinate. And then we will also look at guests that make sense to go on each other's podcasts as well, which is great for the guests. It's great for the audiences that people have. So that would be cool as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this has been
Thank
Leadership
you.
Sound Bites. Oh, hey, any freaking time. So I am more than happy to have you both in the room, or one in the room, or whatever that looks like.
Well,
So Leadership Sound Bites, please like, share, subscribe, and see you on a future whatever. I mean, it could be live, it could be a video, it could be a podcast coming to a screen or monitor near you. All right, have a great one. Thank you.
thanks again, Michelle.
You're welcome.
RC.